Right then, it is time for this morning's edition of Paper Talk. We're going to take you through all the major talking points that have been doing the rounds on the back pages this morning. And delighted to say we are joined this morning by Mina Ibrahim from United View TV and Craig Hope, who's a North East reporter for the Daily Mail. Great to see you both, guys. Really appreciate your time. Of course, with a Manchester United and a Newcastle journalist on, we are going to get to the Carabao Cup final in a moment. But I want to start, guys, if we can, with a story in your paper, Craig, the Daily Mail. They've gone with this in light of Everton's recent struggles, particularly transfer deadline day, and this idea that Andre Ayew could arrive at Goodison Park. So, Craig, what are you hearing?
Yeah, well, I actually spent deadline day presenting the Daily Mail's Transfer Confidential show with the author of that story, Sammy Mockbell, and yeah, we spent most of that day waiting for Everton to sign somebody, and we're still waiting. Now, given Everton's recent recruitment record and, given they had £40 million burning a hole in the pocket from the sale of Anthony Gordon to Newcastle, I fully expected them to go out and blow the lot on an injured Donny van de Beek or even Dele Alli. But I mean, listen, Pete, I joke there, but only to a degree, because the guy they're pursuing now, Andre Ayew, isn't a great deal better, really. You know, last seen in this country 2 years ago in the Championship. 2 years before that, he was last in the Premier League, and that was when Swansea City were relegated. He played 12 times that season, didn't score any goals. So there you go. He's cancelled his contract in the Middle East. He's flying in, and there's every chance he will join Everton as a free agent. Now, you've probably gathered by my answer there, I don't think it's necessarily what they need, but he is a body. He is someone through the door, and yeah, why didn't they bring anyone else in before Tuesday night's deadline? Well, was it really a surprise? You know, they spent half of the time pursuing a player they were never going to get in Conor Gallagher. Sean Dyche only arrived 24 hours before that. So really, none of us were shocked that business didn't go quite how they wanted. And would we really be shocked if they were relegated this season? Probably not, but I do think they've given themselves a better chance, with Sean Dyche.
Now, which is about Chelsea and their FFP potential breaches, saying that they're in danger of breaching FFP rules if they fail to qualify for the Champions League season. Craig, they're a team, they're 10th, I think they're 10 points behind fourth place at the moment, and they spent more than all the clubs in Liga and Bundesliga, La Liga and Serie A combined. So surely there is FFP implications, is there not?
Yeah, I mean, they get round this, Pete, by kicking a can down the road, or, you know, in Chelsea's case, a bottle of Moët. What they're doing is exploiting loopholes in the FFP calculation. Now, if you sign a player for £80 million and put him on an 8-year contract, that is calculated at £10 million per year from an FFP perspective. And to be fair to them, they are able to spend this money to a degree because they were champions of Europe 2 years ago. They've been regular participants in the Champions League, and they've traded well. You know, they have sold players well. They have brought money back in. Now, where that changes, as the Times story quite rightly highlights, is if they don't qualify for the Champions League this year, and also in this month as well. You know, they didn't have players going out. I think it was only Jorginho went out for a fee. So FFP will catch up with them eventually, you know, and that could be in the not too distant future if, as looks incredibly likely, they find themselves outside the top 4 or even the top 6 this season.
Craig, you'll be pleased to see it. Your article actually here, it's rewind 70 years to when Ward Jackie was toast of Tyneside. You've got the picture of Newcastle back in 1955, I think it was, when they won the FA Cup, and then now 2023 getting through to the final of the League Cup. I mean, it really underlines how long it's been.
It does, yeah. What a brilliant picture that is. We just thought we'd have a little bit of fun with it. And, you know, first of all, on the picture, the modern day version, Eddie Howe and his team have come in for a little bit of stick, haven't they? But I'll always defend them because, you know, pardon the pun, but the picture is about the bigger picture. It's about the unity and it's about the journey they are embarking on together. But yeah, going back to that one from 1952, the one big difference, apart from the trilby hanging on the peg there in the background, is that those boys have got a great big cup between them and they're drinking glasses of champagne as well. So will that be about to change for Newcastle at the end of this month? Well, we'll have to wait and see, won't we?
Manchester United can win this. Is there that same confidence in Newcastle that they can finally win a trophy and win this final at Wembley?
You tell me, Pete. But no, there is absolutely, and everything goes back to the manager, Eddie Howe, and just that absolute faith and that absolute belief in him among the supporter base. Now, he doesn't live far from us in Newcastle up here, does he, Pete, from me and you? And he's renting at the moment, and I think he still is looking to buy somewhere. And I've said to him, Eddie, now if you go and win a trophy, they'll give you the freedom of the city up here, and you can go and build your own house on that huge, big, great town moor right next to us. So yeah, well, go on, you tell me, Pete, are they going to do it? Is there confidence?
I think there is confidence. I think the only reason Eddie moved there is to be living close to me and you, Craig, as well, to be fair. So Newcastle's window, Anthony Gordon and Harrison Ashby arrived. Of course, there was some high-profile departures as well, the likes of Shelvey, Chris Wood, Carl Darlow and others. How are the Newcastle fans feeling after that window?
Okay. Now, if you ask Eddie Howe, which is more important, I think if you'd said to Eddie going into the window that you're going to come out of it with 4 midfielders, you would have thought that something had gone wrong. He wanted to finish it with 6 midfielders. As it is, he's lost John Joe Shelvey, and they haven't added to that number either in the middle of the park. But they have brought in Anthony Gordon, a player who he is a long-time admirer of, and it's a fascinating deal. And I go back to the player, really. You know, if you're a young 21-year-old Englishman, which coach in the country do you want to play under? And that probably is Eddie Howe. So it's going to be fascinating to see the improvement he can bring about in him. And yeah, listen, he's 21-year-old. He's a good age. He's English, which is good if Newcastle are in European football next year from that perspective in terms of the restrictions. So yeah, I think fair is just about how they would assess their January business.